We are going to start with the Heisman Trophy. Let's talk about it honestly. It's no longer about necessarily being the best player in college football. It's about being the best player on a team that wins and then stays in the national spotlight all year. And it does help a lot if you are a quarterback, because in the last 11 years, 9 of the Heisman winners have been quarterbacks. The only exception last year with Travis Hunter, and he had to play both ways, essentially doing what Charles Woodson did. Actually, he did more than Charles Woodson did. Outstanding wide receiver and an outstanding DB as well. And then you had Devonta Smith winning in 2020. And even then, dude was putting up video game numbers on an undefeated Alabama team. And since 2010, only 4 non-quarterbacks have won the award altogether? 4. That's it. Derrick Henry in 2015, Mark Ingram, and then obviously Smith and Travis Hunter. So you guys don't miss anything that we're going and doing here on the Unafraid show, because every Heisman winner in the past decade, they did come from a team that finished in the top 10 of the final AP poll, with 7 of them making the college football playoff. If you go all the way back to 2017, Baker Mayfield, quarterback at Oklahoma, made the playoff. Kyler Murray, quarterback at Oklahoma, made the playoff. Joe Burrow, 2019, quarterback, LSU, record-setting year, won the national championship. Bryce Young took Bama to the national title game in 2021. Caleb Williams in 2022, they missed the playoffs, but he's 11-3, top 10 team. You get the picture. Jaden Daniels, that's one of the exceptions because his team finished number 13 in the final poll, but his stats were absurd. Highlight reels, they could not be ignored. So this has mainly turned into a quarterback award, but more importantly than that, your team has to stay in the national conversation and be relevant. They have to be super relevant as it comes to the national conversation. Otherwise, you have no chance, and you have to have some preseason hype. So with that in mind, here are the 5 guys that I believe will end up as Heisman finalists at the end of the year. And we are going to start with the guy from the team that I picked to win the national championship. Go look at the college football playoff show and go look at the video where I talk about the preseason top 25, because I have been consistent, I have been honest, and I have been real. And Cade Klubnik and Clemson are going to be in the national conversation all year, because he's a young man that's still trying to prove himself. His sophomore year, obviously, that wasn't pretty, because it was a decent year by college football standards, but up to Clemson standards, nah, that wasn't going to cut it. Because last year, he improved his yards per attempt by over a full yard and had a 6-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio over there in Clemson, South Carolina. And he's got great weapons. He's got 2 of the top 7 wide receivers in the entire country. And he's got a great schedule to set him up, because it starts out in the national spotlight at the beginning of the season with a game against LSU and another guy that just so happens to be on this list. And then he's going to play a long list of teams along the way that struggled to defend the pass in 2024. So that gives him help, like Jaden Daniels got 2 years ago winning a Heisman Trophy. Bad schedule or bad defenses, or a situation where your defense doesn't necessarily have to pan out, but Clemson's defense should be good this year. He'll be on a top team. If they can beat LSU, he plays well, he will have the edge over Garrett Nussmeier as well. So there is something, and he will have some preseason hype as well. Cade Klubnik is the smart bet for 2024. The smart bet, because that LSU defense was putrid prior to that. So to think that they're going to be rolling on all cylinders at the beginning of the season, yeah, nah. 3 of his last 4 games could be against ranked opponents, with Florida State, Louisville, and South Carolina. So everything sets up for Cade Klubnik if Clemson can win, especially that South Carolina game and that LSU game, and be a college football playoff team. That means that he will be standing on that Heisman stage. I just mentioned his name, and that is Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback over there at LSU. I believe that he has a legitimate chance to be on that Heisman stage, because last season he got to 525 pass attempts last season. That's 40 more pass attempts than Cade Klubnik. And that was in 1 less game. And one thing that Brian Kelly, his head coach, is going to do, they are going to air it out. That's how Jaden Daniels was able to win the Heisman Trophy while he was there at LSU. And truthfully, Brian Kelly has a long track record of quarterbacks making a leap going into their second year in the system. And if LSU's defense actually gives the Tigers a chance to compete at the highest level, then yes, Garrett Nussmeier is going to have his name in the Heisman conversation just by default, because he's going to put up stats, and then he would be on a top 10, top 12 team as well. That absolutely matters. He is going to have to cut down his turnovers just a little bit because he threw 12 picks last year. And then the average number of interceptions that the last 6 Heisman winning quarterbacks have thrown in a year that they won the award was 6. And none of them threw more than 7. So Nussmeier, for him to win, he's going to then have to protect the football. Now, another kid that I do believe is going to be on the Heisman stage is Dante Moore over there at Oregon. Now, people keep treating Dante Moore like he's this unknown commodity walk-on quarterback, little engine that could. If you think about it, when he was at UCLA, we actually watched him do some very positive things in 2023. Now, granted, everything was not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, because if it was, he probably would have stayed at UCLA. But then he transfers, sits behind Dylan Gabriel for a year, and is like, oh, you don't think that this kid that everybody in the country was after, who actually did some good things as a freshman, chose to sit down and learn and mature voluntarily when he could have went to other places to go play, all of a sudden that he's gonna be a bum? Nah, I don't think so. Because truthfully, his season numbers as a true freshman, they weren't even all that different than DJ Lagway's at Florida last year. The difference is UCLA was just bad. And Lagway is heading into his sophomore year with tons of hype. People actually think that he might end up on the Heisman stage. Now, one of the complaints about Moore at UCLA was inefficiency. So lucky for him, he's in year 2 of an Oregon offense that is built at making the most efficient decision. We saw it out of Bo Nix. He got called a check down merchant. Oh, he'll never make it. Then goes in there and has a fantastic rookie year in the NFL. They tried to talk about Dylan Gabriel. Same thing. Oh, now he's in a position where he might get a chance to play as a rookie as well in the NFL. Come on, man. But here is the truth. I am taking a risk with putting Moore's name out there. But I've been consistent about it because I think he's on the perfect situation to thrive out there at Oregon. But voters don't watch every single game, especially West Coast games. So a lot of it is going to depend on what Moore does with the whole country watching when he travels to Happy Valley to play Penn State. And you know that the Oregon marketing machine is going to push him as long as the Ducks are in contention. So if you think about it, Oregon is starting inside of the top 10 in all the major polls. So you start inside the top 10. You go 10-2, 11-1, you are going to have a legitimate shot to be on the Heisman stage. So this ain't far-fetched at all. So slow down with that. A lot of people have been preaching his Heisman hype for 2 years now. That is Arch Man. The Heisman is voted on by a bunch of people who follow storylines above everything else. No college football player has a more recognizable and hyped up storyline than Arch Manning in 2015. And he would actually have a chance to do something that neither one of his uncles, Eli or Peyton, had a chance to do, which was actually win the Heisman Trophy. Now, all eyes are going to be on him in Austin, Texas. And all he has to do, if we're really being honest, is to not suck. If he doesn't suck, he's going to be in the Heisman conversation all year long. And even if he doesn't improve, you just take what he did last year and extrapolate that data over a full season and put him in Steve Sarkisian's system, you're looking at a potential 4,500 yards and 44 touchdowns. And plus, he can run a little bit because he's athletic. He's a mobile quarterback, not a runner, not a statue. He's a mobile quarterback, which is exactly what people want nowadays in the backfield, making every decision at the quarterback position. Now, the question is, what's going to happen with Arch taking on a tougher opponents than he did last year with an inexperienced offensive line because they graduated so much talent? I mean, but here's the truth. But even 80% of those totals that I just talked about for a first-year starter is going to get him some votes. And then the name recognition and being on one of the better teams in college football is going to help. Now, the last one is Jeremiah Smith. And we have seen it is not easy for a wide receiver to win the Heisman. It is not. It is also not impossible because we just saw it with Devonta Smith. And I will not count Travis Hunter as much because Travis Hunter was literally playing both sides of the ball. When you come into a season as the consensus best player in football on a defending national champion team with a wide receiver room that's good enough to discourage defenses from bracketing you. Not that double covering him is going to be, not that would even matter because he's bigger, quicker, and stronger and faster and more agile than pretty much anybody that he's lined up against. Here's the truth. Jeremiah Smith is up against it because his hype is starting so incredibly high. So if he goes out and just does what he did last year, he ain't gonna be on the Heisman stage. He has to go silly. He's got to go dumb. He's got to go stupid for him to be able to win the Heisman Trophy. And when you look at his season last year, 1/3 of Jeremiah Smith's touchdowns last year came in the college football playoff. And this is a regular season award. So how does that figure? So Smith is going to need to equal his, total season production last year in the first 12 to 13 games of the year to actually stay in the conversation and make the finals. But he also needs to do two other very important things. He absolutely has to have a good game in the opener against Texas. That is an absolute must for him to stay in the Heisman conversation. They had the best pass defense in the country last year. And he needs to make good on that guarantee to beat Michigan. That is the second thing that he needs to do. And then that leaves us with a few names that I believe could replace Jeremiah Smith if those two things don't happen. Number one, we got John Mateer over at Oklahoma. He was lights out at Washington State. We're talking about a 3,000-yard passer potentially with 1,000 yards rushing as well, which should put you on the Heisman stage. But this feels like it's going to have to be a mentality switch for the Sooners because Boomer Sooner last year, they played football like, hey, offense, don't lose the game for the defense. Not the offense go out there and win it for us. Hey, defense, you do your job. No, it was, hey, offense, hey, don't lose it for the defense. Don't turn the ball over, make silly mistakes. So if the Oklahoma offense is significantly more explosive this year, they'll be in good shape. Another name is Lenore Sellers because he's got games against Clemson, at Texas A&M, at LSU, and they play Bama. So you do that and you take care of business and you are a college football playoff type team. Lenore Sellers at South Carolina is going to have a shot at the Heisman Trophy finalist, being a finalist for the award. Another one is DJ Lagway. I do not believe DJ Lagway is going to be on that stage. I don't think there's a way. And it's not because he's not talented. It's just that he missed all the spring ball. He started fall camp hurt. So it's going to be tough for him to be his optimal self or live up to all the hype when you're not fully healthy and you haven't had as much practice time leading up to it. That is the only reason why DJ Lagway is out of this conversation. We got to talk about Drew Aller. He has every single thing teed up on the platter. Running backs, offensive line, wide receivers, defense, defensive coordinator, just won a national championship game. And he's got Oregon at home. They play Ohio State. What more do you need to be able to win a Heisman Trophy and get on that stage? But the problem is Drew Aller has to be better. He's got to be the best version of a game manager because he has not proven yet that he is special. So he either has to be special or be the best game manager around and beat Oregon and beat Ohio State, and then the trophy will probably be his. And the last one is my ultimate dark horse for the Heisman stage, because nobody was predicting Cam Scatterboo to be there last year. And my Cam Scatterboo for this year, boom, Demond Williams. Demond Williams over there at Washington. If Washington, who hosts Ohio State on Montlake this year, if they beat Ohio State, oh, you can book it. You can book it. Demond Williams will have cashed his ticket to be at the Heisman ceremony. So y'all just take that with what you will.